from New York.
That was actually from Davidson, where my theater professor said, you got to stop, those E's have got to change or you're out.
I'm a storyteller, and for me, words are destiny. So when I hear these pundits arguing violently opposed positions on television, it sounds to me like a series of intentional lies. It sounds to me like words are being used as weapons, and that terrifies me.
And my job is to put the fun back in, to take the duh out, and restore the mental to fundamentalism.
I feel the same way. I work in the media. I'm a filmmaker and a professor at Biola University, the Bible Institute of Los Angeles. So why do I teach? I think it's because I'm really horrified by how a way of love has been turned into a vehicle of hate. I mean, how can Jesus, the great defender of the poor and the hungry and the hurting, have been turned into a hater?
Someone's praying, Lord. Someone's praying, Lord.
We became roommates sophomore year in part because we were both believers. And in that year, everything changed. We made the decisions that shaped the rest of our lives. And after it was over, we went our separate ways.
John was hard to keep up with. First, it was a spiritual search in India, then it was reporting from Berlin, and then finally settling down in New York City as a producer for 60 Minutes.
As I traveled around the country as a producer, I became more and more alarmed by the growing divide. There just seemed to be no end to the hostility. So I sold a book to HarperCollins on the subject, and the first person that I called after I sold that book was Craig.
When you get a call from 60 Minutes, you're bound to be a little bit cautious. But I was disturbed by the divisiveness in America.
I wanted to examine this gulf that I felt opening up at our feet. You know, this idea that there's a red America and a blue America. And red states are God, guns, and money, and blue states are sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And Jesus is red state, and Bob Dylan is blue state.
This polarization just seemed a little too simple. We grew up in red states, now we live and work in blue states. We know both sides of the argument, but what about the messy middle where most of us really live?